The NBA draft. So the NBA draft started in 1947, in which eligible players who wish to join the league can do so. Typically, these are products of the American college system. However, they can also be players that have been playing internationally. In years gone by, you used to be able to go to the NBA from high school. However, since 2006, the rules were changed, so you must be 1 year removed from high school graduation, be that college basketball, international play, or high school postgraduate studies, most famously of which Von Maker did. Whatever you fancy, really. The only other qualification is that you must be 19 in the calendar year of the draft. Those that have completed their 4 years at college automatically qualify for the draft. However, if you choose to declare as an underclassman, so in your first 2 years of college, then you forego your remaining college eligibility and typically your degree too. To decide the recipient of the first overall pick in the draft, there is a lottery first used in 1985, in which the worse you are as a team, the better odds you have of the first pick. Originally, the worst team in either conference would flip a coin for the pick. Then they moved to the lottery. However, to prevent teams from intentionally tanking, losing games on purpose, the worst three teams' odds were equalised. This process has been a point of controversy in the past with events like the supposed frozen envelope for the Patrick Ewing draft. And to break it down with me today, I'm talking to John. John, how are you doing today, boss?
I'm doing all right. Needing a trim, but
Yeah,
we keep on going strong.
yeah, we keep it moving. We keep it moving. So the NBA draft, obviously, also with other American sports, different to the English club system.
Yeah,
Based on obviously you know a lot about the draft, you know a lot about the English club system.
yeah.
In your opinion, which do you think is a better system for youth development?
I would say, but English clubs, you're talking about football clubs, right?
Yeah, yeah, or even
So
basketball still.
I would say the English clubs. But that's again me. That's my personal opinion, mostly because let's take football for example. You join an academy when you're 8, 7 years old. Sometimes you even sign a contract, and then the older you get, the more contracts you sign, and you get the opportunity to potentially play in the first team. So like, let's take Arsenal for example. You got Saka, you got Emil Smith Rowe, you got Joe
Um,
Willock is currently at Newcastle. You got a couple other people that obviously
Desmond
have
came
been on
through,
that.
didn't he?
Yeah. So obviously, I feel like in terms of football, that's really good. And with our basketball teams though, with our basketball clubs, we haven't got many teams doing that at the moment. I know Newcastle Eagle have a junior program, London Lions have a junior program,
They must.
Leicester Riders have a junior program, and branches such as Charnwood,
Yeah.
Loughborough, um,
Copleston in Ipswich,
yeah,
Marsco.
um, Worcester have obviously the university.
Yeah, yeah. Plymouth Margin University. Shout out Paul Nicholson.
Um, Bristol Rovers. Well,
Flyers. They've got their
Bristol
thing.
Flyers.
But I think a
Bristol
lot of
Flyers.
that also has to come down to the fact that it's where you grow up. You know,
Yeah,
you need something localized, especially in England, of course, because the draft in America for American sports is kind of the be all end all.
yeah,
This is what we're working towards.
yeah,
Whereas in England, I think it really is a case of, you know, you could play wherever. You know, if you want to play for your local team, you know, eventually you're
yeah,
probably just going to move on naturally.
yeah.
But yeah, the draft's it's a tricky one. So do you think it? You know, we say that perhaps we prefer the club system. Do you think the draft is good or bad for the teams?
Teams in NBA teams. There's two sides to it because obviously, as you mentioned, the tanking.
Yeah,
When it comes to let's say the Detroit Pistons,
yeah,
they even better. Okay, OKC Thunder.
yeah,
They they have at least a whole draft's worth of pick in their tank right now,
hmm
and again, that's what they did. They're going towards the future. But tanking is seen as bad as a league is seen bad in the league because obviously of views such as like New York Knicks, staple New York, heart of New York. They're that team that potentially entertainment value, but because they've been tanking for the last couple of years, which evidently has kind of worked, um, entertainment value has gone down. There's been less people watching NBA in America, not necessarily other countries. Um, but the good side of it is obviously having that opportunity to actually go to college for a year, again, that has both sides of the arguments, but that's neither here or there. Obviously going through the college system, having that chance to look at the facilities that they have, because the facilities in top D1 college basketballs are very similar to what NBA teams have, and obviously players going through that get to experience all of that, get to experience how to be responsible with it. But yeah, that's purely based on what I've seen so far.
Mm. But you mentioned the Knicks and how they're decent now. Of course, their best player they signed, they didn't draft.
Yeah,
Julius Randle, and that is the thing with the draft. The only time you really see a team, of course, if you draft a player and you think that this is the guy you're going to build around, you've got them for 8 years, really. You can nail them down for 8 years. They have their 4-year rookie contract, then you sign them on their rookie extension for 8 years.
Yeah,
you've got to get it done in that 8 years. LeBron didn't get it done the first time round, and you've got to build around them too. The only good example of tanking working at the moment is the 76ers, I'd say.
trust the process.
Yeah, but even then, you've got to hit on your draft picks. Okay, yeah, the Celtics, they didn't tank. They had Brooklyn's picks, but they've hit on the draft. But for every big hit, there's 100 misses.
Yeah, I feel like with the draft as well, with tanking, it obviously includes trades that NBA teams do as well. So obviously you have like let's say you wanted a trade. I think was KD a sign and trade, or was KD a free agency trade?
KD was just free agency to Brooklyn. You mean, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
James Harden.
Yeah, James Harden was.
Let's take the James Harden. So obviously they had to set up picks here,
That was a
picks
free
there,
team
picks
trade.
all around. Yeah. And obviously it helps in a way because obviously teams have that incentive to give the player there because they're thinking, okay, because I know that they have draft boards, so obviously they might have draft boards until 2024. Top player in 2024, they're looking at that. Okay, let's see his thing. They might like the player, but I think with the draft, it's tough because anything can happen. Injuries can happen. A new emerging star in Europe, which has been happening recently, like what's that guy's name that's in the Wizards right now? From Israel.
Denny Avdia.
Yes. And Luka Doncic and Luka as well. Luka obviously was very looked down upon because of where he was from.
Yeah.
But then he was
same as LaMelo Ball playing in Australia.
Yeah.
But the thing you've got to remember with your international prospects is they are playing against physical adults. If they can hang physically, that's the biggest jump you've got to make from going up against people your age to playing against big bodies.
That's why I think in terms of like the process and getting to the NBA draft, I think what the G League is doing with Ignite is perfect.
Yeah.
Get high school players, top high school prospects, getting paid as well as getting in the competitions. Jalen Green, Jonathan Kuminga, they have Jarrett Jack helping them. They have Amir Johnson helping them. They did have a guy called Kai Soto who's Filipino, but he kind of messed up his chances by choosing to represent Philippines in the Asia Cup qualifiers. But and same with Australia with the initiative of what RJ Hampton and LaMelo Ball did with it was kind of like a program where they got paid, but they lead to the NBA or something.
Well, as I say, you only need 1 year removed from high school graduation, and if I recall correctly, the Ball family owns some of Illawarra Hawks now, where LaMelo was playing, wasn't
he? They same with the Lithuanian team that he played for. They don't own thing, but I know that they sponsor the water.
Oh yeah, big ball around water. I had some of that when I watched them play against London. Yeah, but of course, this is the interesting thing with the draft. Is of course we're talking about players being one and done. Just go to the draft, go into the NBA, make your bank, done.
Yeah,
it's not always that simple. You can only pick 60 players on draft night. And there's a lot of players that will go undrafted, and that will kind of be the end of their basketball dream. And what if you come out early, forgo your eligibility? A lot of times the college have only got you there to play basketball. So that there is that kind of double-edged sword there.
Yeah, I think in terms of what you just said with the college wanting the player to only be there, there's a lot of talk about how NCAA, how some the D1 players, I don't know what, from universities have got players doing little elective classes that they don't even go to, that they give just give grades out, don't even go to test. Again, don't know whether that's true, but I know that there's been loads of talk and loads of scandals. Like didn't Zion Willis, wasn't Zion part of a scandal at Duke that he accepted a car or a lump sum of
Yeah,
cash?
yeah. Well, I was reading it was Darcy Frey. He wrote about Lincoln High School in Coney Island and how the draft prospects, or not draft prospects, sorry, college prospects like Stephon
Yeah,
Marbury, like his dad would receive like birthday cards for Stephon with like hundreds of dollars in from the college coaches and stuff like that, because there's specific rules about it. And
mm,
they also made a specific rule that they could only print, this is back in the 90s, they could only print the brochure for the college in 4 colors or in black and white or something like that. So what they
yeah,
started doing was they started printing it but putting a date on it before the rule came into place
yeah,
to get around that, so they could print it in color, because it was meant to make it better for unis that couldn't afford like color printing in the 90s.
yeah,
But yeah, and there's that puts a lot of pressure on kids. You think about from the AAU circuit all the way up. I listen to All the Smoke. I listen to Matt Barnes, who obviously does a lot of work with his twins, and they're in the AAU. And he's always talking like, yeah, we had a tournament, yeah, we won the chip, and he isn't arrogant or anything about that. He's very level-headed about it. But even then, they're young children who are going through this already highly competitive system, and then you have to turn around and think, well, what if they don't fulfill their potential, but they've been brought up thinking NBA, make money off basketball? Then what? Someone once said that the NFL stands for not for long. You got to
yeah,
think about that. You got to think about that long-term bread.
yeah. I think in terms of the whole system leading to the NBA draft, it's like I know that players can receive offers from as young as 13, 14.
Mm,
I think, didn't LaMelo commit to UCLA when he was only a junior in high
yeah,
school?
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, when he was only a junior in high school, which means he must have received an offer from UCLA. A lot of NBA players' sons, if they're seen as if they're seen that they have the potential to be NBA talent,
Mm.
they get given they get given offers from various universities. I know that Bronny has received offers from various universities already, just
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
having the look on James Jr. in his name.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I
and
feel,
sometimes they do make the league. Cole
yeah.
Anthony, Greg Anthony's boy, he's in the league now.
Same with Sabonis, Domantas Sabonis.
Yeah. Arvidas, his son. But yeah.
There's a lot. Yeah, I feel like the draft is a big pressure upon the young people in America because again, as you said, that's the end goal.
Mm.
They don't look to go to Europe. They don't look to go to Asia. They don't look to go to Australia. The main goal is the NBA, and as you said, the draft is 60
Made
picks.
my in, yeah.
A
So,
majority of that they get undrafted. Maybe they might get a call to a summer league.
yeah. G
But
League
then
team,
yeah,
how
but
many
majority of the
them
time,
was undrafted?
for majority of the time, that's the end for majority of their careers. They go off to do a normal 9 to 5 job. They go back to university,
Yeah.
get a degree done.
But it also kind
Uh,
of perverts the college system, and again, Frey writes on this too. He follows 4 players, Chaka Ship, Corey Wilson, I think, a guy who uses a pseudonym, and I'll get onto why, and Stephon Marbury. Of course, Marbury, the only one to make the league. Chaka Ship goes to Seton Hall and gets an injury, crashes his car, and then he caught up. Darcy Frey caught up with him 10 years later, and he's just working odd jobs, electrician in Vegas on like $8 an hour, because he kept trying to force, he kept transferring college to try and get playtime, and
yeah,
kind of neglected the because they wouldn't take him for his academics. had to neglect the academic side, and he ended up not doing what he wanted. But the other one, he went by the name, I think it's Russell Thomas. He used a pseudonym, but he ended up taking his own life on a train track because he didn't get not drafted, but like he got cut from California Irvine, I think.
Oh yes, but I feel like that's the case with a lot of obviously having that ambition to reach the professional level, which is the same with English clubs.
Mm.
Um, I don't know whether you remember that, but there was a story about that Man City youth player that
Yes,
took his own life because he got cut. He got cut from the academy.
that was somewhat
Um,
recent, wasn't it?
yeah, that was, I think that was in 2020, or it might have just happened
It
in
was only a
January.
few months ago, yeah.
Yeah, but I know that there's that pressure with that, and psychologically for these young men, young people, especially young females as well. Because now the women's basketball in America is now on the rise, which is really good because there's been a lot of exposure with women ballers
Mm.
and women footballers as well. But I just feel like because of the draft, the pressure is on, and half the time these young people don't concentrate on what they need to do and on what they want to do. They go for it and don't have a backup plan. And once they reach the backup plan, they somewhat fall into sadness, depression, all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah,
that's deeper.
yeah.
That's deeper
But
meanings
of
to that.
course, you mentioned about women's basketball. We've got Esther Little going to Gonzaga next year. But then we also, being England, had Holly Winterburn go Oregon. She's back home
Um,
now playing for Leicester. She decided it weren't for her, which is fair enough.
yeah,
Speaking of which, sorry, we've got Temi Fagbenle back in the WNBA because she did a year in Italy. She's
yeah.
gone back to the WNBA.
Yeah, I know with WNBA is tough. A lot of those WNBA players do play in other countries when there are off seasons.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember watching a video on YouTube about how a New York Liberty player or a Los Angeles Sparks player goes to Russia to play for their women's team and the EuroLeague there.
Mm,
And then once their season is done, they go back for the off season training for the WNBA.
yeah. Well, that's how you run your body into the ground. Yao Ming did the same. He was playing in China in the off season. There's a reason he only lasted 8 years in the NBA.
Yeah.
Body just couldn't hack it. But what about the
But
draft lottery? Do you think that's a good idea?
I think it's tough because again, draft lottery, anything can happen. You have odds, but what's to say? Let's say the LA Lakers are the top 15 pick. Right now, they have AD LeBron. Even though their chances of getting the top first pick, the number one pick is very little to very little to none.
Yeah,
They still have a
if
chance.
you're the 14th, worst team, I think your odds literally are like 0.1% or something
Yeah,
like that.
and obviously that comes with the trades as well. They can trade for a team for their pick, and
Mm.
even if you are the 14th worst team, if you had traded that pick to another team for another player, that team has the rights to that player.
Mm.
But I feel like with the lottery, it's a lot of uncertainty to it. It's not certain that if you're the worst team, you'll get number one pick.
Yeah.
If you're the 15th worst team, you'll get the 15th overall pick.
And even
It's
then, there's a level of unfairness there because there could be a team that is bad because they're a small market, they can't sign players, their best player got a big injury, they're just bad. And then you could have a team that are a big market and intentionally tanking that finish like 6th seed, jump to the number one. You know what I mean? So I'm the jury's out on it because obviously you do need. Well, even then, do you think tanking's a bad thing?
entertainment value, yes, but for the team's worth sake, it's not. For like the team has to do what the team has to do, but for entertainment value, let's say again, like we mentioned before, New York Knicks, for the team's sake, they kind of needed to tank because the draft picks weren't working, their team
They're
wasn't
not copying
working.
free agents.
Yeah, so they they get anyone that's basically on the free agent market that was good before or is does still kind of have potential, but it's it. I'm 50-50 on it. I can't really decide because
Well, you mentioned
like sometimes,
entertainment value. Let's take the the 2014 Sixers. If they're if they were that bad, if they weren't trying to intentionally lose, is there any entertainment value there anyway? Because they're still not good. You know what I mean? Like it's not like you've got LeBron, Kobe, Michael Jordan, and you decide to ride them on the bench because you want to. It's not like you're losing massive entertainment value. But I think perhaps an upside of tanking is you give players a chance.
yeah,
You give the likes of Michael Rappaport calls Frankie Ntilikina Frankie cigarettes because Frankie nicotine sounds like Frankie nicotine. But the Knicks would have like Frankie nicotine. They'd have who's the undrafted? Alonzo Trier. Mitchell
Oh, he
Robinson.
was undrafted.
I'm sorry.
He was undrafted. Alonzo Trier.
Yeah.
Wow.
But if you are bad and don't have that entertainment value, you will end up giving these players chances. And Alonzo Trier, he'll get paid. He'll get
You get the
10 million
money.
from someone. They'll see him as a budget Fred VanVleet.
Oh, Fred VanVleet is one of those undrafted players that
Yeah.
have that very Pascal Siakam.
Pascal Siakam went 46th.
Oh, did he?
I think. Yeah. Don't quote me on that. It's about that low.
Oh, I was looking at stories that he was undrafted. Huh?
No, he might have been drafted and cut, but yeah, no, Frankie, he's that's what I'm saying about the entertainment value.
Yeah.
If you're that bad, is there any entertainment value anyway?
Yeah, I mean, would you say the 2013-2014 Lakers, up to the point where they had LeBron, do you think their tanking was worth it?
Well, the product they're tanking was Ball, Ingram, Randall, Josh Hart, all of whom they traded for AD.
Yeah.
So I'd say, yeah, I've just checked. Pascal Siakam went 27th in 2016.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Surprise to me too. I didn't realize he was a first rounder.
What the Raptors dropped him.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Raptors sent him to the G League straight away. Then he won.
Yeah. Played in the D League in 2017.
Oh, he played when it was still the D League. Wow.
D League Finals MVP.
And then I know he got Finals MVP. He won the championship, and then he got promoted back up to the first team.
Yep. Good run with the big boys.
What are your thoughts on the lottery then?
I think it's one of those things where you do need that level of checks and balances, because again, it's not quite entertainment value, but if you are Detroit and you're coming up against Los Angeles, if you know you have the worst record in the league, you get the first pick. What's the point in even trying? You're playing the Lakers. You don't gain anything from winning.
Yeah.
And again, it does become a point where you might go, well, how about we just sign loads of injured players that are good? Now, easier said than done. You can't always be the Nets and go, yeah, we'll just take KD and bench him for a year. Same with Kyrie or whatever. But yeah, you could just ride them for a year. I think the lottery, I think the lottery should just be for the top 3 picks between the top 3 worst teams.
Yeah.
Like I don't like the idea that the 14th worst team can get the first overall pick.
Like I understand last season, Golden State were not a good team, but they have a decent power forward in center in James Wiseman.
Yeah.
Players coming back next year. Draymond is on his Dennis Rodman-ish with.
He's on his Coach Green.
He's on his and then Stephen Curry is currently in the middle of his prime.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If Steph got in, all of the Warriors got injured last year, and then Draymond got injured, got told to. He pretty much decided he didn't want to play. Let's be honest.
They basically tanked for the year, and it worked.
Yeah, and then they benefited for it. But the thing with the Wiseman, one, I would have picked Wiseman for the Warriors. I think he's the right fit there. But
Yeah.
with the way, and he's playing fine. He's having a fine rookie year for a guy that barely played in college and is a center. At what point do you start thinking we should have gone for LaMelo?
But the problem with that, what position would LaMelo had played at the Warriors?
He will run the two, won't he?
Yeah, and then when Clay comes back, what would he run? He would be on the bench.
Sit him on, yeah, get him off the bench. To be honest, you could run Clay as a free.
You could.
They're all about shooting. They're all about small ball.
The three currently is Kelly Oubre, right? Or does he run
and Wiggins? They're interchangeable. But yeah, let's say they go for LaMelo Ball. They don't have to panic when Clay goes down and sign Kelly Oubre.
That's true.
Because they have a player in, because how tall is LaMelo? 6'8"?
6'8" and growing, yeah.
Yeah, so he's the same as Kelly Oubre.
Yeah.
Same sort of athleticism.
Yeah. I think it was more for them. I think it was more they needed a big, because again, their bigs over the last couple of seasons hasn't been good to them, if I was to say that. They had Festus Ezeli. They had obviously the infamous Andrew Bogut, who retired. He's retired now.
I think Ezeli's retired by proxy of the fact that he's just stopped playing.
No, he's now trying to make his comeback now.
I liked him. I thought he was fine.
He signed with the New York G League team, I think.
Did
he? Yeah, there was a story that came out that he signed that because of his injuries. He obviously didn't play for I think 2-3 years. But now he's a basketball player for the Westchester Knicks of the NBA G League.
Oh.
He's currently at their bubble right now.
Oh, good for him. Yeah, but I know what you're saying, because with their bigs, they've had Ezeli, Bogut, they signed Boogie, but of course Boogie's kind of done now.
I still have a bit of faith in Boogie. I have a feeling the Lakers are going to sign him because
run it back with him for another go.
They might as well.
It's bad when your best center over the past 5 years has been JaVale McGee.
I mean, don't get it twisted. He's improved a lot mentally and
it's fine.
Yeah. Before, like when he was at Denver, when he did a Euro step at the halfway line and chucked it up.
Yeah, Anderson Varejao was there.
Yeah, well, but let's be real, he didn't really play.
No, but even then, that's what I'm saying with the draft. If they wanted to, they could lock Wiseman in for around 8 years.
That's true.
Now, for a kid, is that a good thing? Because you hear about, kids going to the wrong organization and not learning the things they should be learning on how to, be a professional off the court and stuff like that.
Yeah. Wasn't that the case with Gilbert Arenas when he went?
Well, he did bring a gun into the locker room, yes.
Yes, and there was a story. What's his podcast? His podcast is No Chill.
No Chill Gil.
No Chill Gil. That's his podcast name. I listened to a couple of his things. I know that public experience. Apparently, they used to take a number 2 and put it in a teammate's shoe as a joke.
Right, brilliant. Yeah.
Like that apparently that whole locker room was just poisonous and them as an organization weren't teaching Gilbert how to professionally handle this kind of stuff, whereas the teammates that he had were essentially telling him to do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
And that's what he said, that was a downfall of his career, because he wasn't professional. People didn't want him because of how he handled himself.
Yeah.
And that was all due to how the Wizards were before. And the Wizards weren't really that team that they were 2014, 2015 when they were making playoffs, when making conference semifinals.
Well, you see it also kind of on the other side of the coin with Kwame Brown. Kwame Brown, who he blatantly had talent. Okay, he was a bust. Yes, he was a bust, but he blatantly had some sort of talent to go number one. It seemed like he needed a strong personality to guide him. And who did he play with? Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, two of the most unforgiving basketball players ever.
You could say the same with Anthony Bennett as well.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Yeah.
Darko's a good example of it too, because people say that Darko, great story with Darko. Basically, he came over to New York for the draft or something like that, and he was warming up, and on the court next to him, he was just like going through some pre-draft stuff. On the court next to him was the entire Pistons organization running drills, and I think Larry Brown was the coach at the time. And there was a guy who's very close to Darko. He goes to the next court and he goes to Larry, you know who's warming up over there? Darko Milicic. And Larry Brown started putting him through a whole training session with the Pistons and said that Darko was, as good as anyone on that floor. But it was just a case of he was very, very isolated when he did come to America. And that was his, Dirk had it too. Mark Stein talks a lot about it, how Dirk really struggled being in America, wouldn't leave his room, was talking about going back to Germany, and Steve Nash kind of got him out of that.
I feel like, especially back then, they still do now. A lot of NBA analysts, a lot of NBA scouts do look down upon European prospects.
Yeah.
Even if they are super talented, even if they are one of the best European prospects, like Luka, some analysts were thinking that Luka might even be past 10. I'm surprised Luka wasn't first.
In hindsight, he should have been first, and there's not really a debate.
Yeah, there isn't. Imagine how the Phoenix Suns would have been with Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and Luka Doncic.
Or the Kings, who drafted Marvin Bagley,
who now wants to be traded away from the Kings.
Or the Hawks, who actually traded Doncic.
I feel like the Hawks really messed up big time with that, because now they have a brilliant roster. They have Bogdan Bogdanovic, they have Trae Young, they have Clint Capella, they have John Collins, they have
he's gonna go.
Yeah, they have Rajon Rondo.
At least they got Trae Young back. They could have traded Luka for Marvin Bagley, and DeAndre Ayton's fine. He's fine.
He's a very old school player. That's why no one really talks about him.
He's fine.
He doesn't dribble down the court, spot for a free. He's a catch and shoot 3-point scorer. He's a typical catch the ball in the post, bounce.
Little bit of Kimi.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's a little bit Tim Duncan-y.
He's the third best player in the class.
Exactly.
And it's a good class.
Yeah, I feel like the draft is very interesting to watch, because you get to see all the trades that happen, and especially with the outcomes of the trade. So, like, essentially, Cleveland trading Andrew Wiggins to Minnesota.
Yeah.
That big three of Kevin Love, Kyrie, and LeBron James.
Well, that's the thing. I wanted to make the point. I think GMs put too much value on the draft. Why? Okay, yes, you are, in Minnesota's position, you're trying to rebuild, but in what world is Kevin Love, the All-Star, worth an 18-year-old? And that's the thing. I think a lot of GMs it's the fun of it. Everyone likes the draft. They like the idea of the gamble and the excitement of it. But that's kind of, you're reducing a man's career. An 18, in many cases, you're taking a 19-year-old man, taking him out of the structure of college, saying, here is $5 million a year guaranteed. Yeah. You're a big boy now. And, you look at Tyler Hero, he did a video of how I spent my first million.
Oh, with GQ Men.
Yeah. And that's fun. That's a funny video. But then when you think about it and you go, okay, but let's say Tyler blows out his ACL, is never the same, gets one more contract, then what? We're glorifying this behavior of, and Charles Barkley spoke on it. He says every day or every week he has ex-players coming to him asking for money. And he says, I'll do it once, but I'll never do it again. Like if you come to him and ask for money, he'll give you money once, but he'll never do it again. But you have to think about, how can we kind of take this pressure off the young people with the lifestyle and all of that?
Yeah, I feel like again, pressure, very big thing when it comes to NBA and NBA draft. It's just it's tough. So it takes it's that's why I feel sorry for some of these young players, especially coming in.
Yeah, I mean, all the way through their career, let's say you're a 13-year-old basketball player. Take Julian Newman. I'm not a massive fan of Julian Newman. However, he's still a young player that is subject to a hell of a lot of scrutiny just for playing the game he loves. That's all he's doing. Yeah, he plays in a way that people don't find fun. Okay, or they find him cocky or arrogant. Okay, find me a player that's hugely successful without that little bit of edge though.
Yeah. He plays very NBA 2K.
Very street ball Lee.
Yeah. Very tween.
Yeah.
And pull up. But
and that's fine because he's better than both of us. So but that's what I'm saying. Julian Newman's already subject to all of this scrutiny. Let's say he goes to college, right? He's going to be
apparently he's got a scholarship to a New York college. I'm not too sure whether I'm right about that. I don't know. But I know that
NYU.
Who?
Vasily.
Vasily went to NYU.
Yeah, yeah.
Is he there now, or did he go before?
No, he's done. He went there. Yeah. Yeah.
On a basketball scholarship, or on a basketball scholarship, or
I couldn't tell you if I know. But yeah, Vasily played there. But yeah, you know, all the way you've got you're being judged. You're being, are they worthy of being a 5-star recruit? Are they worthy of starting for Duke? Are they worthy of
have a bad game?
Yeah,
you can't have a bad game.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, you're in the league. Are you worthy of this contract? Are you worthy of these amount of shots? Yeah.
Let's take two very big internet sensations such as Zion Williamson and Mikey Williams. Zion, obviously, he's doing his bits. He's not as covered anymore because LaMelo's in the league. So ESPN and all these other TV networks are on LaMelo. Zion right now is averaging, I think, 25 points,
8 and 6,
9 rebounds. Yeah. And then let's take Mikey Williams. Now, at the beginning, because he transferred to a Christian school that's in a higher division than his old school was, his first couple of games, him getting used to the competition that he's playing, because last year he would play competition that couldn't match him. That he could always drop 40 balls, 50 balls. First couple of games this year, he was being called a scrub. He was being called a bum. He was being called a catfish.
All of that.
Yeah, all of that, because he wasn't used to the physicality of how Division 1 is, even though he's a very talented player. Now, fast forward a couple months later, he's dropping 30 balls, 25 points, averaging 25 points, all of that kind of stuff. I feel like players now, when it comes to if we're going to compare the drafts experience compared to Patrick Ewing, Kobe, even LeBron, social media did not play a big part.
No. But the interesting thing with LeBron is people were saying that he was running with the Celtics when he was like 16, 17 and holding his own. Yeah. But what was I going to say about Patrick Ewing? Yeah, obviously there was the controversy with the frozen envelope. And a quick, description of what that was. They used to do the draft. They used to broadcast it. Now they do it in private. If everyone thinks the lottery's fixed, everyone does, right? Apart from Bill Simmons says, "Oh well, it's not. Otherwise, New York would win every year," and blah 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 blah. Anyway, so they used to have a big clear ball with envelopes in, and then you pull. Say I'm now picking the third, and you pull out the envelope.
Kind of like the Europa League Champions League.
How they do the balls for the FA Cup draw and all of that.
Yeah.
So David Stern reaches in, immediately grabs one, kind of waves his hand around a bit while still holding it, pulls it out. Mysteriously, it's the Knicks. Now, this is the Patrick Ewing draft, and drafts tend to get named after the players. You know, last year was the Zion draft. There was the Shaq draft. There was the LeBron draft, based on if you get the number 1 overall, you're getting this player, which will change your franchise. This one was the Patrick Ewing draft. And the Knicks, being a big market, put a good player there, makes lots of money.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, he pulls out this thing that is the Knicks. And people say that they froze the envelope so he knew which one to grab because it would be cold.
Because there's also another conspiracy to that he was struggling opening the envelope itself.
Because
he was struggling because it was quote unquote frozen. I feel like the David Stern era of the NBA was very, very controversial. Every single draft, every single time he walked out of the door, getting ready to say, with the first pick of the NBA draft, all the fans would just boo him. All the fans would just boo him. And I think that David Stern did do a lot of fishy things that might have helped other teams in terms of drafting and in terms of all of that kind of stuff. And like, for example, like why is it now that teams like KD, James Harden, Kyrie Irving?
Now you got to back Paul, innit?
Yeah, but then exactly. But he vetoes the trade. He vetoes Chris Paul going over to the Lakers to help Pau Gasol and Kobe.
But even then, he let Pau Gasol go because Pau Gasol was given up for nothing. For absolutely nothing. And, you know, you can't say, oh, well, I got Marc Gasol out of it. Because at the time, Marc Gasol was £360 and a second-round pick. You know?
I feel like they regret the trade this time as well, because Marc isn't playing his greatest basketball for the Lakers right now.
Well, he didn't play last night. He got DNP. Is he injured?
No clue.
Well, he got a DNP.
He might be out for health reasons.
Yeah, he's just overweight. And he's 7'1". But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, David Stone was definitely more of a wartime commissioner. And then Adam Silver come in. And, you know, obviously the first thing Adam Silver had to deal with was Donald Sterling, you know, with the Clippers, in which he basically made some very inflammatory comments about African Americans, which led to, and again, Matt Barnes speaks about this because he was in the Clippers organization at that time, I do believe.
I feel like you would enjoy this series. There's a series on Netflix, Jay, called The Coach's Notebook or Coach's. I don't know what it's called. I'll search it up in a bit. But Doc Rivers spoke about his experience as the head coach.
Yeah, he did All the Smoke with Matt Barnes. Yeah.
Yes. There's a particular series. There's a series with all coaches. So like, I know the coach of do you remember the college that Ajay Wilson went to?
No. Oh, Bill Laimbeer. No. Oh, because Bill Laimbeer's the Los Angeles Aces coach now. Anyway,
the Las Vegas Aces.
Yeah, that's probably what I meant.
They do a bunch of videos with coaches that have gone through a lot. So like Doc Rivers is one of them, and he explains how during the time Donald Sterling had said all those profound things about African Americans, and said all of those things that were caught on tape and released via social media. He said that the players at the time looked at him as another voice for Donald Sterling, but he had walked into the locker room saying, I am with you guys. I work for them as well, and had to explain all of that kind of stuff. Yeah,
because he was still wearing his Clippers shirt when he went in, they said. Have you seen Amateur on Netflix?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Right. So with the left and right running plays. That's a perfect example of, you know, the pressures that a young person faces in high school ball. And that's a good one. Yeah.
I feel like when it comes to pressure as well, if the person has, let's say, like with Amateur, he was dyslexic.
Yeah.
He was dyslexic. I think there's with that. Yeah, there's things like with players. Some players might have dyslexia. The league won't care. So, like let's say with Kevin Love about mental health. Yeah. As well.
Kyrie.
Which is another story, which is conspiracy or all around it.
Well, the way that he embraced DeMar DeRozan the other night, I think, tells us a lot.
Yeah,
Considering how outspoken DeMar's been on stuff like that.
I know that DeMar and Kyrie are somewhat close.
Mm.
I know that DeMar wasn't feeling too good after he got traded by the Raptors to the Spurs for Kawhi, and I remember I don't know whether you saw this as well. You probably did, but when DeMar was kind of thought back to himself, maybe I was the reason why Raptors didn't win.
Yeah.
Else, and then he said that he was talking about this, talking about that.
Mm.
But yeah, it's the draft causes a lot of problems for different teams and different players. Like
Danny Ainge is in it. You know, Danny Ainge has been an amazing GM for the Celtics, but of course, Danny Ainge hasn't hit on the draft. He's had so many picks and he's missed with all of them. You know, Romeo Langford, Peyton Pritchard's okay. Aaron Neesmith is okay.
Marco Fall is one of the best players I've ever seen.
Well, exactly. You know, granted, you know, okay, they didn't waste a top 5 pick on him, but you know,
I mean, I feel like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have worked so far.
Well, what has worked? You know, they're both going out and averaging numbers, but you know,
they're not reaching the finals. They're not reaching.
Yeah, like to an extent, having Zach LaVine on the Bulls has worked because Zach LaVine is putting up. You know, to me, he's the ultimate good player, bad team, big stats, bad team player.
I feel like the team that has benefited from the draft the most over the last from 2011 to 2016, 2017 was the Minnesota Timberwolves. Their team was so good.
And still only made the first round, though.
Exactly. Like they had
limitations of what you can only do with the draft.
Yeah. Like they had Kat, they had Zach, they had Andrew Wiggins, they had Ricky Rubio. Ricky Rubio, still an amazing passer. Was way better back then. But they had all these players.
Curry. Because they thought it was made of glass.
They had all these players that are good, that are really good. Like
Chris Dunn. Because they turned Chris Dunn and Zach LaVine into Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Made a run for it. I like Chris Dunn.
Yeah, Chris Dunn is.
He's got a lot of edge. I like him. I like him. I like Sexton. Yeah, no, I like them. But I think, you know, what team's done best off the draft? Hear me out. Brooklyn. By trading away all of their draft picks, they couldn't sign any big free agents at any money, meaning they had the cap for them to get both Kyrie and KD. They just did a very hard reset. And the fact that they traded Brook Lopez and they got D'Lo out of it, that's an amazing deal. Granted, they passed on Kyle Kuzma, but you know, you mentioned right at the start about OKC and tanking. Yeah, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a great player to build on, but if you want to tank through the draft, you've got to trade him because he makes you too good. He wins you basketball games.
And I feel like they now need to trade Dort.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If OKC said tank time, they have to trade 2 young players that are well worth building around.
Yeah.
You've got Lou Dort, who is a better Andre Roberson, in my opinion. And Andre Roberson's a fine player. You know, he's Tony Allen with a 3-point shot.
Yeah.
You know, you got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's a very, very good young player. You know, both under 24, 25.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, okay, now if we want to tank, we've got to get rid of it. It seems counterintuitive.
Yeah. I feel like their core right now have a lot of potential, and I think it's smart. I have a feeling I know what their GM is planning on doing, which is
Sam Presti.
Bill Presti?
Sam Presti.
Sam Presti. Don't know why I thought Bill.
They could have used someone like Gordon Hayward.
Yeah. But speaking of Gordon Hayward, the Hornets.
Yeah.
The Hornets are doing well.
Credit where credit's due, Mike.
The Hornets are doing well this year with LaMelo. LaMelo's starting right now, right?
And good on Malik Monk too, getting himself sorted out. Because he got banned for being on the old nose beers, didn't he?
Yeah, he got.
Tyreek Evans got a 2-year ban. Free up time.
Doesn't it end this year?
I'm sorry?
Doesn't it end this year?
Yeah, he missed last season. That off season for the Pacers, we lost Jeff Teague to free agency. Darren Collison retired to become a Jehovah's Witness. Tyreek Evans got done for 2 years.
Got a little special guest coming through.
So JJ, what do you think of the draft? Obviously, class of 2035.
But yeah, I feel like like what you said with OKC, it's very counterintuitive that now they have to trade their two best players
if they wanted to get a first pick.
Exactly, Shea Gilgeous, Alexandra, Lugans, Dort. They have a couple
Darius
players that actually, Darius Baisley. He surprised me this year.
He's a fine player. I like him. I like OKC. I've got nothing against them. I prefer if they're in Seattle, but
that's another topic to be talking.
Yeah, that's another pod. But speaking of which, we're going to wrap this one up. This has been Jamie. That's been John. John, where can people find you? Remind them.
They can find me in on YouTube. Just me, John. Instagram, just _ me, John. To be fair, if you're following Jamie, you could probably find me. You can probably find me in the followers list or in the following list. I'll be there. But yeah, this definitely the last you guys have seen of me.
100%. So obviously, this has been What Was the Score, the Sports History podcast, and this has been the NBA Draft.